Hello my fellow freedom builders and welcome back to the channel. It is Monday and it is therefore Mining Monday and it is the 14th of December 2020. It's soon to be Christmas and today I am a bit delayed. I'm sorry for that, but for, I don't know, the first time ever, YouTube and Google pretty much went down. So here we are today. Sorry for a little delay. Okay, the program for today is that, of course, as always, we're going to have a look at gold, silver, copper, and US dollars. We're going to have a look at the big ETFs, the GDX, GDXJ, and COPX. And then we're going to have a look at uranium for the first time here in Mining Monday. And many of you have asked why we haven't picked that one up. The prices of the uranium stocks have completely gone crazy lately. And today I'm going to tell you a bit why they have spiked like they have. And I'm going to tell you why we are not in any of the uranium stocks yet. We might be on a later point, but I'll get to that one later. Then we're going to have a quick look at a mining stock called Altamira or Cabral, and that is because Lasse, my mining expert, is having two webinars this upcoming weeks in two different Facebook groups, and I'll link to them below so that you can go in there and watch some webinars there. But I'll get back to that as well. First of all, let's get straight into the gold prices, because that is kind of where we usually start. And as you can see, last week, let's just enlarge this daily chart a bit. Last week, I said that this was a point to be tested, these former bottoms here. And if it was broken upwards, then the next interesting point will be the top of the regression channel, but that we might see a little retracement before testing that once again. And that is exactly what happened these couple of days. They shot up through this area, which was actually a very good sign of strength. But then we had a little retracement here, and as you might remember, I was talking about the US dollar. One of the reasons for this retracement was that the US dollar might be bouncing a bit, and it did. We'll have a look at that in a second. So right now we are at a place where gold has been retracing a little bit. We're still inside this bearish channel here, but I still think that we will find some sort of support here. But right now, that is just my personal opinion. And of course, we always let our charts speak for us. So right now, this is a picture of the gold. If we're having a look at the silver, then the picture is a bit different because right now, well, I haven't really drawn a regression channel here. So what we can see here is that the regression channel is still working its way almost sideways here. Actually, if we have, well, let's delete this one and take it back to this bottom here, then you can see that the regression line is actually 100%, almost 100% sideways here, plus minus 2 standard deviation. So right now we are actually in some sort of transformation phase as for the gold prices here. So that is not even a real downtrend anymore. It's just some sort of sideways range here. So let's have a look at how that goes up in the future here. Copper, well, that's pretty much the same picture. As I said last week, we might see some sort of retracement down to the line here around the 330 line. So right now we're just taking a break, and it might just be that the price is making what I used to call a sideways retracement, meaning that it is going sideways up until the 20 SMA gets up, it catches up here, and then the price starts to move upwards from that. We cannot know that for sure, but that is what I will be looking for. Right now, the trend is still extremely bullish, and that, of course, is just as we want it to be. Now, the dollar index, the DXY here, as you can see, this is what I talked about last week, that it seemed like the dollar would need some sort of retracement here. Some sort of bounce here, and it did have this bounce, which also made the gold price drop a bit. But right now, the dollar is dropping, and well, it is hard to tell, of course. I'm not a fortune teller, but when I see a pattern like this, a steep drop here, some sort of retracement, and not even up until the the 20 SMA here and then turning around, breaking this bottom here, I would definitely think that the 90 should be broken in the DXY here over the next week or so. I would be surprised otherwise. That would put some upwards pressure on the metals, most definitely. When we are looking at the GDX, we can see the exact same picture here. We can see the gold price being pressured here. It is also bouncing on this resistance area, which is not completely satisfying. But then again, if it finds a new bottom somewhere here, starts to move up, then that could be a confirmation for a move upwards. When we're looking at the juniors, GDXJ here, we can see the same retracement here. But as I said last week, we do have a support area here. We simply broke up through the support area. So right now, what we are looking at is if this support holds. If it does and we bounces upwards here, I think the juniors will be in for some upwards movement. Now, the COPEX here, the copper, well, that pretty much just shows the copper price here. The copper sector has been moving up violently, and as I said in the copper price, I think it is just waiting for the 20 SMA to catch up. Now, of course, the price doesn't have a life of its own, and there's nothing magically in the 20 SMA. It is just a pattern that I very often can observe in the prices, that the price just pauses just long enough for the 20 SMA to catch up and then it starts to move up. But then again, there's no magic in here, so it's not like many of you are asking me what kind of EMAs or SMAs are you using. Well, it pretty much doesn't matter. As long as you can see some patterns in it, it doesn't matter if it is a 18 or 20 or 25 SMA here. As long as you can see the bounces clearly and it gives you a visual help on the screen to make your trading decisions, that is pretty much it. All right. Then let's go to the uranium sector, because that has definitely been on fire lately. Look, for instance, at Cameco here, which is one of the large ones. 43% up in a very short while, and that is not even that much. We could have the 4 times U here at the ticker symbols. That is Energy Fuels. What does that say? It is 113%. We could have another one, the Paladin Energy here, which is, let's just have a look, up 125%. So this has definitely been on fire, and congratulations to those of you that are in some sort of uranium stocks right now. Now, what is going on and why are we not buying? Well, when we're looking at these companies, of course, they're going up a lot. And companies like Cameco and Kazatomprom, currently they produce around 55% of the global supply. And they're producing a minimum just to stay afloat to make the supply-demand situation create higher prices. Now, what has caused the latest price jump in the stocks? When we are having a look at the uranium prices here, let's just have a quick look. We can have a look at the daily chart here. We can see that there has been a slope down in the uranium prices measured in dollars per pound here. It has been sloping down since May, something like that, and now it has had a spike up. We can try to zoom a bit out and look at the last 5 years here. And here we can see there was definitely a bottom in the pricing around 1780 in December 16, and then it has moved up. But there are some violent and brutal swings here that of course also affects the uranium stock prices. So what are the factors that are making the uranium stocks move? Well, there are several, and I'll try to list them here. Of course, number one is obviously the higher uranium price. It has something to do with it, because just as with the gold and silver miners and copper miners and so on, when the commodity price goes up, then the margins are very, very much affected by that, and they'll make more money. So of course the price goes up. But also, the uranium market is a very tiny market, and the supply-demand relationship has not been this tight in many, many years. A lot of companies are closed down due to a low uranium price, and uranium has had a hard time since after the Fukushima. You might remember the accident in Japan back in 2011 11, and a lot of countries went negative on uranium back then. I don't know if you remember. Let's just have a look at a map here. We can see here we have Europe with nuclear power plants, and as you can see, all of the black ones here are shut down plants. As you can see, there were some in France and so on, Italy, but one of the places that were really shutting down is Germany. Angela Merkel, simply after the Fukushima accident, she pretty much decided to shut down the German nuclear power plant sector. So that was quite dramatically. You can see here Germany, a lot of them. And that is, of course, one of the reasons as well that now these are the power plants, but that, of course, has had an effect in the production of uranium, in the mining of it. So a lot of the companies in this sector simply went bankrupt in the aftermath of this big shutdown of the nuclear plants in Europe. And since these mining sectors are taking a lot of time, it's taking several years to come up and running again after a big shutdown, well, then of course there'll be a big lag in supply when the demand starts to rise. Now, some of the countries are restarting, inclusive Japan, and a lot of people believe that nuclear energy is kind of the only way to reach the Paris Agreement and save the climate from heating up and so on. I am personally one of these people, and I know this can be kind of a political, touchy subject here. But I must say that looking at the speed of which solar panels, wind turbines and so on, they are growing fast, no doubt about it. But when we're looking at the increase in energy demand in the world, China coming up, India coming up and so on, then I personally do not see any other solution than going big time after nuclear as an energy source. That is my personal opinion, but I can see a lot of science backing it up, and right now many of the countries that are resisting, for instance Denmark, they are basing a lot of their fear of the nuclear power plant from scare stories from back in the 70s and 80s, and a lot has happened with the technology in this sector since then. So that is, of course, something that can really spark a high demand for uranium. That is a big growth in the nuclear power plant area. Anyway, now that we are seeing a potential higher demand for it, we'll also have to look at the supply. And even though some of the mines are working hard to fill in the supply here when the demand starts to go up, we can see that there is a chance this industry will be hit somewhat more by the entire virus crisis that has hit the world this year. And we can see, for instance, Cameco, which is one of the largest producers, they have shut down their mine with the Cigar Lake, I think it's called, earlier this year due to the virus. And there are rumors that they will have to shut down again after some new cases. And that has been one of the most prolific mine in the world, and therefore it is a big deal. Rumors are that Ukraine will shut down their 3 mines, which will make the market even more tight. So this is one of the reasons why we're not really touching this area right now. It is extremely volatile, and in our commodity and mining portfolio, we have a percentage of our money put into some developers and explorers in the mining sector. But what we see in the uranium sector is simply that it is too volatile, and it is extremely quickly and hardly hit by political decisions, for instance, from Ukraine to shut down some mines. And therefore, even though it is nice to see stocks going up in the hundreds of percentages, we do like to invest in companies where we can make a more solid fundamental case and not being hit by some random political decision. Now, another thing that affects the price right now is that the US Senate Committee on Environment and Public Works last week, they were passing a bill that could fund a uranium strategic reserve through September 2021 in the amount of $150 million. That amount was actually significantly higher when they started, but this was what they could agree on, it seems like. Now, when Biden has won, people are speculating in different areas like carbon taxes, more green investments, etc. And therefore, uranium might be a place to go. But that depends a bit on what kind of environmental organizations win this. Because if you're looking at, for instance, Greenpeace, if they are going to be the opinion maker, they have been for several decades a really tough opponent towards uranium, against uranium and the nuclear power plant sector. They have simply been a lot against it. So it depends a bit on which of the green sides win, because some of the green sides that want to fight the climate changes, they agree that nuclear power plants are the only way to go, and some other of the green organizations, they really oppose it violently. So that is also a big if. So why we're not invested? Well, we might be in the future, but there are so many ifs and rumors, and it is a bit uncertain right now when we are talking about uranium. And we don't mind missing a few 100% before entering in a long-term bull market in uranium. It might go up with at a rate of 1,000%. So as you know, we are trend followers. We don't mind losing the first 100% until we can see that the market is steady and the trend is steady, and that is where we will enter. Of course, we'll let you know if and when that happens. So let us be clear. There's absolutely no doubt that uranium is extremely undervalued if the world will start using it as a method to reach the emission goals, etc. But as I said, we'll gladly wait until there are some more of the uncertainties removed, and then we will enter the market. We have a lot of sectors in the silver, in the gold, in the copper, and so on, where we can place our money right now, and that will definitely be interesting. As some of you know, we are setting up an ETF investment fund, a professional fund, but actually with Lasse as our expert, we are also planning a bit later in 2021 to set up a commodity and mining fund that people can invest in, but we'll have a lot more information about that later on. All right. Lastly today, in this mining and commodity video, I'll just give you a quick briefing that Lasse, our commodity analyst, he will be hosting 2 live webinars this week that might be worth listening to. Lasse really knows a lot, and he has gotten some really good participants in. On Tuesday at 8 p.m. CET, he'll be hosting a company presentation and Q&A with the CEO of Altamira Gold. Now, if we just have a quick look at Altamira Gold here on the charts. Let's see here, Altamira Gold. It is a very exciting junior gold company, and Lasse has a good position in it, and we have a little as well. We haven't mentioned it a lot in here on Mining Monday before due to some uncertainties regarding a mine financing. This doesn't mean that it's a bad company. Actually, it might be one of the cheapest near-term gold producers in the precious metal space, but we have been waiting for the financing deal to come before introducing the company to you. So I'll encourage you to watch the live webinar, and then we'll do an in-depth video later on if people want to. But as I said, I'll link to an Altamira Facebook group just below here, and that is where the webinar will be hosted, so you can have a look at that. Also on Thursday at 8 p.m. CET, here on that is the December the 17th, Lasse will also be hosting another live presentation and Q&A with Cabral Gold's CEO Alan Carter. And Alan will focus on explaining the last few news releases and what it means for the project going forward and so on. So there'll also be a link to the Cabral Facebook group just below here, so you can get in to see when the webinar will be hosted. As you know, if you've been following me, I am in Cabral Gold, and it went down quite a lot here, but as I said around here, I thought that the tide has turned for Cabral Gold, and since then it had gone up from around 0.53 to 0.63, so that is definitely one I think that will keep moving. And as you know, even though the gold prices have dipped a bit. So imagine what will happen with Cabral Gold, both if they get out with some more exciting news and if gold really starts to move in the northern direction. That is pretty much it for today. That was the webinars. It was uranium and was a quick look at the overall gold, silver, copper and so on. Also the ETFs. As always, if you have questions, anything, you can write it in the comment section below here. And if you are a member of our Market Timers Special, our Danish subscription service, you can also ask Lasse directly in there in our Facebook group. He is available for our subscribers in there, so that is a really good chance to get some good answers also on some of the stocks that we haven't mentioned here in Mining Monday. That's about it for now. I'm looking forward to gathering some more exciting material for you for the next Mining Monday. And I can only say take care of yourself and your money out there. And I'll talk to you again very shortly here on the channel. Bye for now.